But listen, we've talked so much about all of these wonderful guests we've got, and I'm super duper excited to welcome to our desk the 2024 U.S. Indoor National Champion, newly crowned Olympian, and the pride of Strath Haven High School, Allie Wilson. How we doing?
Thank you. I'm good. I've never been better, honestly.
I like the way you think. Listen, from the Delaware County Championships to the Olympic Games. I mean, talk me through that, man. That's a beautiful transition.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I feel like it's all relative. Like, whatever stage you're at in life, that feels like the pinnacle of what you're doing. And Delco's for me used to be that. It used to be the biggest thing I was doing. Then the state championships, get to college, NCAA, so on. And so, yeah, it's great to really have reached, like, the highest level of this sport. I can't say I ever really believed that would happen for myself.
Sure.
And I'm really honored that it is happening.
As a fellow Delaware County native, Penwood High School grad, District 1 champion.
I didn't know
Come
that.
on, man. Listen, that's what I'm saying. We got ties,
Allie, you didn't
baby.
do your homework?
You didn't
Come
do your
on.
homework?
Come on.
That's why, listen, we had Emma.
Delco, baby.
You just had Emma on the show. I'll tell you, I'm the fan of all these people because there's a lot of connections. So listen, I was in that Delaware County as well, so I've always been rooting for you. So this is an honor for me to sit down here and congratulate you on making your first Olympic team.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So we're seeing you in a different uniform this year. For the past 4 years, we've seen you in the Atlanta Track Club. You've uprooted your life. You've moved to Indianapolis in last November. For a lot of people, that would be just an earthquake that they might not, it would take a little bit of time to normalize to. How have you turned that change into the best season of your career?
Yeah, so I actually talked a little bit about this in a podcast yesterday, and I feel like
No podcast yesterday.
I'm
No
not poaching
podcast
questions.
yesterday. No podcast yesterday.
This same question was asked to me. Thanks. Yeah, all right.
No, I really like this
Throw me
question.
under the bus.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
fantastic. Great. Awesome.
Well, basically, I just, it was a lot. It was very stressful. It was nerve-wracking. It was a lot of pressure. I wanted to make the right choice so bad, and it was really hard to figure out what that was. I knew the entire time throughout that whole process that staying with my coach, Andrew Bagley, was the right choice for me. It just was kind of hard to come to terms with, like, okay, how different things are going to look. We don't know where we're going. Like, he was throwing out all these different cities, and, like, I'm kind of, like, hoping he's going to pick a little closer to home. And, you know, he decided on Indiana. I was like, all right, like, I had some pushback. I was like, I'm not going to Indiana. I told him, I was like, I'm not going there. And he just stuck with it. And eventually he knew I was going to go regardless. Because I just believe in, like, him and what we have done up until this point so much. And being that it was such an important, like, time, it just wasn't, there was no part of me that wanted to change what I was doing.
If this were a different year, do you think that you maybe would have made a different decision?
Still no. But it
Loyalty,
made
baby.
it made my decision, like, that much more important that I stayed with him, because I was like, I knew it was what I had to do, and it was scary at first. Like, I left my contract, and I was, you know, paying my way through stuff for a while. I didn't have a contract, and that was really tough. It was hard also not to think about, like, it doesn't matter. Like, your worth isn't based on if you have a contract or not, but it's easy to, like, feel like that, because I went from, like, having this contract, and now, like, no one was really trying to pick me up, and then it feels like, oh, I'm not worthy of that. And I had to just keep, like, having a lot of self-belief in that time of like, it doesn't matter if I'm being written a check or not. I'm, like, worthy of being out on that track as much as anyone else, and I just kind of stuck with that. And yeah, luckily after indoors, it had gone pretty well, so Nike picked me up. And
Oh, the turntables.
Yeah.
Oh, the turntables.
I was pretty excited about that, and I knew, like, it was a lot of pressure indoors, because I was like, it kind of felt like if I didn't have a good indoor season, there might not be a contract on the table, and I knew I was going to have to get through this entire year on my own, and that would have been really hard. I know people do it, but yeah, kudos to people who get through.
Running for your life.
Yeah, literally.
Running for your life.
So it kind of felt like it, and it felt like I had this, like, weight of the world on my shoulders to prove to everyone I was worthy of a contract. And so, yeah, I feel like that was, like, the first turn of events of, like, winning indoors, that, like, getting my contract, going to Worlds, like, where I was like, okay, like, this, you know, I could have done it without it, I think, but, like, it really, really helps to, like, have people who believe in me and are supporting me again.
I think it's really cool hearing you talk about just your pathway through this year, but more importantly, your career, because it feels like everything you've gotten, you've had to earn. You know, like coming from a mid-major school, coming from a small town like we all are, right? Having to earn your way all the way up. When I think about this year, right, and you talk about the consistency with your coach and all of those things, right? Not running 2 minutes until the finals of the Olympic trials. I'm sure that went exactly how you guys planned it, right?
Yeah, so that was, yeah, I have been, I don't know, I had a really big breakthrough year in 2022,
Sure.
obviously, and I think I took that for granted because I was just running so fast, and I didn't even really realize it at the time, because you're always wanting more.
Right.
So, you know, I was like hitting all these times, but I wanted this, and I'm like, well, I even when I ran my PR, I ran 158.09, and I was so disappointed because I wanted to run 157 so bad, and I was like a couple hours later, I was like, I just PR'd, and I didn't even realize it. So, you know, I had to stop and realize, like, okay, I need to, like, take these little wins, because they don't come around that often in this sport. And so I had to remember, like, you know, it's okay. It's not all about the time. It's about just putting myself out there and doing the best I can on any given race. But, yeah, last year was really hard for me. Not like, I think I broke 2 once, and it was just like, I was starting to tell people, I was like, I'm just like the 2 flat girl now. Like, I run 2 flat every single race. And yeah, it was hard coming into this meet believing like I was going to get a spot on that team, because that didn't feel like it was going to be enough. And I just kept telling myself, like, you never know what's going to happen in the final. You never know what it's going to take. It could be 1 in 2:10, and I'm not going to care if I am in one of those top 3 spots if I run 2:10. So I just like kind of kept trekking along, and then yeah, the final, I was just running with everything I had, like pretty much with just my heart. And I had no idea we even ran like pretty fast. So I saw the scoreboard afterwards, and I was just excited to see I had come in top 3, but also like to have run a fast time again, like on the day that it mattered most. It was, yeah, pretty special.
Allie, we ran into each other on Pre's Trail yesterday morning, and you talked Nick Willis and I through this experience that you had during the race that was maybe unlike any other race you've ever run. Would you mind sharing that on the show?
Sure, yeah. So basically, I can be kind of a big ball of nerves going into a race. I feel like we all are, but sometimes I'm like, mine might be a little more than others. And we just know that about me, and it's fine. We manage it. My coach always has said, like, you know, you are very nervous beforehand, but the second the gun goes off, you race like you weren't, and you race like a fierce competitor every time. So it's like, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, so I was pretty nervous going into the final. There was a lot of uncertainty, and obviously there's so many incredible women in the 800 in this country. So I just didn't know what was going to happen. But like the second the gun went off, I have never been more calm in my entire life. And it actually caught me off guard. But I was like, I think I knew going into it. I think I had really come to terms with whether or not I made the team. It didn't define my worth. And I was very like just content with everything I have done up to this point, and I was like, I want a spot more than anything, but I refuse to like only be proud of myself if I get one of those 3 spots. So I think I was just running like, for the first time, I really feel like I like soaked it in. I like honestly enjoyed it, and I know people always say that after they have a good race, but like the crowd, I know, was going nuts, and like in my head it was very quiet, and like it just felt like very surreal. I kind of just felt like I was just like a robot, and I was like, okay, now move up into 4th place, now move up into 3rd, now move up into 2nd. Like I never panicked. I just like really ran my race and just kept on believing in myself the entire time. But I definitely just like took it all in, and like it was like unlike anything I've ever experienced.
Yeah, that's awesome.
No, listen, that's super duper cool. Obviously, we are super duper excited that you just took a chance and came here and sat with us today. I can't get out of here. I know I know you got some things to do, but I got to ask you about the bun.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm sure what started off as just an efficient running hairstyle has now become part of your persona, right? It's a thing, right?
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Yeah, I don't know when it became a thing, but
Sure.
Apparently it's a thing.
It's a thing.
Yeah, I have worn my hair like that, like practically since birth. I played soccer too. I've always had a big bun on my head. I never looked cute in school, in high school. I would be in sweatpants and have my hair in a messy bun every single day of my life. And people think like, oh, she, like, I don't know what they think, but like a lot of times I'll like do my hair, I'll try to have it look all nice going into the meet, and then the second I get there, I just want it off of my neck, and I'm just like, I'm hot, and I want it off, and I just throw it up as high as I can. And then people really clung on to that, and now the bun is a thing.
Listen, that's super duper cool. We are so excited for you and your opportunity that you're going to have here in Paris. We know you're going to crush it. I'm rooting for you. The whole Delaware County is rooting for you, and we want to wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you for
Absolutely.
having me.